Hello everybody and welcome to the third video of our lion smoking cessation method training. My name is Coach Rad. I'm the author of Lion Smoking Cessation Method and the founder of Lions Institute of Southern Europe. So in this video we go a little more practical. We're gonna learn how to eliminate cravings with a simple technique that we call pain scale, identifying triggers, and self-love mindset. Okay, before we start with the lesson, we have to understand one thing. Craving for cigarettes is nothing more than another form of anxiety. And as previously mentioned, our laser brain uses any excuse possible to make us in our comfort zone. Our brain has learned that with simple action of smoking cigarette, it gets certain amount of dopamine. And if you learn your brain to repeat that more often, the more dopamine you're gonna get. The problem is when you have your dopamine artificially supplied to your body, your brain becomes lazy to accept, to take action. Your brain will not take action to get that dopamine in a more natural way. And in that sense, it's gonna defend your habit of smoking with imagining and making up different stories that you're gonna suffer if you stop smoking, that is impossible to live without cigarette, that is impossible to breathe if you don't smoke. Yes, to breathe if you don't smoke. I had that experience. It will make you think that you are not capable to deal with your problems without your addiction. It will, if you feel certain craving and feel uncomfort, your brain gonna figure out in a second 10 different stories to make it even harder for you to be without nicotine. Now, why is that happening? Well, our brain is not our evil friend. Our brain is designed to protect us. And this relates to that third belief that we talked about earlier, that we're gonna suffer if we change something in our life, especially smoking. Now, in order to overcome cravings for cigarettes, we have to use two things. We have to use objectivity and to be realistic about things. Look, when you say I cannot live without cigarette, you are thinking about stress at work, stress from everyday life that is absolutely unavoidable. It's a living, it's a human experience. And when we are so long in our comfort zone, even if I just change the position of chairs in my kitchen, it will feel a stress to me. Okay, and that will be enough reason to take cigarette. Okay. So as you can see, you probably experienced all this. I wonder what are your experience about defending your comfort zone. Please write me an email and send it to me. I would like to read it and answer your potential question that you have. We have to, as I said, be objective and realistic. What does it mean to be objective? Is to look at the things as they are. Okay, if you look at the cigarette doesn't have any special meaning from itself. We can call a cigarette, I don't know, a nail to hit with a hammer on a board, or we can call it what it really is. It's some dead grass, few grams of dead grass wrapped into paper with a bud on the end of it that you can light, and when you light it, it produces smoke. And it's also a vehicle for delivering nicotine. Okay, it's a vehicle for delivering nicotine. And I have to repeat this for you that you probably already heard. You get rid of nicotine in 7 days. What keeps in you is that habit of smoking, because smoking is so entangled in your life, in every sport in your life, and when you ditch cigarettes for a few days, it feels like you lost a job after 30 years of working there, and that really creates stress. Look at this. You wake up, you take cigarette, you eat, you take cigarette, you drink coffee or some other beverage, you take cigarette, you go to the toilet and get out of the toilet, you take cigarette, and all of a sudden that's gone. And of course it creates certain anxiety, and anxiety triggers certain thoughts, certain beliefs, and those thoughts empower certain beliefs, and they make us want to smoke cigarettes again, even if that's not true. We don't need them, okay? We need, instead of cigarette, we need a goal of a lion's life that we want to live, and then things become easier. So that was objectivity and realistic. The second part of this, being realistic, is, like I said, I cannot, like in that example, that I cannot live without cigarette. I ask yourself, can you live without food? No. Okay. So if I take cigarettes, if I take food from you and leave you on cigarettes, how long are you gonna live? For 30 days. Okay. If I take water from you, how long are you gonna live? For 4 days. If I take oxygen from you and leave you with cigarettes, how long are you gonna live? 30 seconds and kaput. There's no more you. So all of these that I described are all symptoms of all these fears, these stressful reactions. They are all symptoms of anxiety, okay? And in this part of the video, as you can see in the first slide about eliminating craving, we're gonna cover pain scale technique for eliminating craving, identifying triggers, what keeps us smoking, and we're gonna use special technique called self-love. Sounds weird? Well, buckle up. It's gonna be a wild ride, especially that part. So, the first we're gonna explain what is pain scale. On this pain scale, we are identifying how bearable, how much we can take of certain situation or certain event in our life or certain craving. Okay, so this is not a technique just about overcoming craving. This is something you're gonna use in your everyday life. And it will take you 10 minutes a day to practice it, and after 21 days this is going to be subconsciously, you will do this subconsciously in every situation after 21 days, okay? It will be, you will be able to go through this in a couple of seconds. So, pain scale, as you can see here on the first slide, we have a scale from 1 to 10. On that scale, we are measuring how much we can handle something. For example, 1 is like a little pinch on a finger. It's harder, you can hardly feel it. Maybe if somebody else do it to you, maybe you will not even notice. So this is something that you can totally handle, and it's completely bearable. On a scale 1 to 10, number 5 would be like you hit your elbow on a closet or something and you feel pain. It is uncomfortable. Always use the word uncomfortable. You describe it as uncomfortable, but it's still bearable, it's not a big deal. It's gonna hurt for a little bit and it will pass. So it is completely bearable. Okay. On a scale from 1 to 10, number 9 is, there's like 10 guys throw you on a floor. They're hitting you with their food, bats and everything. It's really uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. But as long as you are breathing, there's a chance you're surviving it, and you're gonna get over it eventually and get back to life. Number 10, press pause and write it down. What is, in your opinion, number 10? And then continue. Okay, I hope you just got back on this video. Number 10 is death. Death itself. That's the only thing in life that is absolutely unbearable. You cannot handle it, it's the end. That's number 10. Okay, so from 1 to 9, we can, as human beings, survive anything. As long as we breathe, there's a chance of surviving. On a scale, but this is not the end of this scale. This scale can go in minus or over 10, okay? In minus are things that are totally irrelevant to us. So if somebody say, how important is this guy's opinion about you stopping smoking, you say, I don't care, that's below 0, okay? On a scale from 10, like 11, 12, 155, 1 million, there is everything that we describe as unbearable, horror, terrifying, unbelievable. And that's, my friend, is what we call imagination. On this part of the scale, from 10 to indefinite, we are suffering in our imagination. Remember that saying, 90% of things that we are worried about never happens, okay? On this scale will be everything, that it would be that example, I cannot live without cigarette. That would be like rated like 155. And in the next part of this training, we're gonna use this scale. This is important, okay? Practice it, okay? Okay, ask yourself, for example, let's say you had a colleague that's loud in your office and he's talking trash and you feel uncomfortable because of it, and you put him on a scale, for example, for 8, okay? The goal of next training that we have is to put those craving. So you capture that thought. So in our example of the guy who is loud, we're gonna use that example for the next training in this video. That we call identifying triggers. Okay. Okay. So in this video we have quotes from Mr. Viktor E. Frankl, the guy who was a Jewish doctor who survived Holocaust. He was in Auschwitz concentration camp, and that's the person who took his situation realistically and objectively. He accepted his situation. He realized that he doesn't have any control over his life, and he accepted that. Okay, it was not really comfortable for him there or any other poor people who went there. But he discovered something, that even if he's suffering every day, if he finds a meaning in that suffering and explain it to himself, his days in prison, in concentration camp, will be easier. And he figured out one thing, and here's my favorite quote that I use in everyday life. Everything can be taken from the man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So Mr. Frankl have found a way to survive concentration camp by believing that after he get out of that camp, after the war ends, and he didn't know when that's gonna happen, he told himself that his suffering will use him to teach other people how they can overcome everything. And part of that philosophy is what produced this training that you have, okay? And this is one other quote from him. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Viktor E. Frankl. You can read Mr. Frankl books that where these quotes came from. It calls Man's Search for Meaning. In this slide, we have a table that I strongly recommend you to print it for yourself. That you print for yourself. And in this table, there is like 10 questions that will help you identify how strong a certain situation is that affects you, to get realistic and objective look on it, and get that situation on a pain scale as low as possible. Okay? And take a notes, print it out, or write it on a paper, each question, and answer it. We will go through this training together. My voice will go with you, and we will get this in no time. So just figure out some situation where you had where you felt triggered to take a cigarette, okay? And here is not an accent about on taking cigarette itself. It's about everything that is happening around you before a moment you decide that it's time to take a cigarette, okay? So let's go through this question. Okay, first question is how would you describe situation where you felt a craving? Use create it visible as possible, vivid as possible, using visually, auditory, and kinesthetic qualities of that. So describe what you saw, describe what you hear in that moment. Okay? Maybe you were sitting in the office or in school or somewhere, or maybe in a bus or taxi or whatever. You see your colleague, for example, some other man, a newspaper, a book. Describe it visibly as possible. Then maybe you heard some sounds there, or maybe it was absolute silence. Maybe it was loud. And describe what you felt there, like physical sensations. Did you feel like pressure on your skin? Was your clothes heavy? Maybe it was crowded. Okay. Okay. When you answer this question, we move to the next step. What did you felt? Describe your feeling and rate it on a scale from 0 to 10. How strong was it? 0 being totally bearable and 10 being totally unbearable. Okay? Describe what you felt. Press pause if you need. Okay. In the next step, we ask ourselves, how did my body react? What type of physical pain did you feel? Okay? And describe how strong it was from 1 to 10. Maybe you felt some weight on your shoulders. Maybe you felt some pressure in your chest. Whatever. Just write it down and rate it from 1 to 10. So what did you do next? How was your reaction? Maybe you felt angry. Maybe you reacted angry. Maybe you crouch yourself in standing fetus position. Maybe you start cursing in yourself to that certain individual or situation that you're in. Okay? Okay. How did you behave? Okay. Did you say anything? Maybe you were silent, of course. Everything that. Okay. Okay, when you describe this, write it down. What thought did go through your head? Maybe you heard yourself saying, this guy should shut up. Oh, I need to get out of here. I need to take cigarette to relax. Everything will be gone if I take cigarette. Okay? And write down which of those thoughts was strongest. That's important. Okay? Okay, good. Now, on the scale to 1 to 10, how strong do you believe that thought was true? From 1 to 10. 10 being absolutely true, 0 being absolutely not true. Okay? Maybe it was 8 at that moment. Okay? Okay, now in the next question, you answer yourself. What evidence do you have that thought is true? Write all the evidence you can think of. It's okay. Okay? Now, when you finish that, what evidence do you have that proves that thought is not true? Okay, write them down. Take some time. Press pause if you need. Good. Ask yourself, in next step, ask yourself, do you find those thoughts logical? Do I find those thoughts logical? Yes or no, and you can explain if you want, but simple yes or no is enough. Okay? So, let's ask yourself, in the next step, how do other people react in this situation? What do they think in this situation? Okay? Okay, write it down. That's good. In the next step now, what would be a better or useful way for you to behave in this situation? Maybe you could say that, colleague, please be more quiet. Or take a water, or take a walk. Get some fresh air. Say yourself, okay, I will get off this bus, take a deep breath, and walk with my day. Continue with my day, okay? And next question, please. Answer, how would you rate the strength of those original feelings again? They're probably now a little lower, okay? And the next question, how strong is the original thought that upset you and make you think that you need a cigarette? rated from 0 to 10. Okay, by the end of this exercise, you probably relativize, you probably make the original thought absolutely ridiculous. If you're not, repeat it several times and you'll be fine. Okay, there's a next exercise that is absolutely bonus here, and that's what we call reverse thinking. Okay, so this is a technique that there's no slide on it about it here, but I will explain you with example. So you have a craving for cigarette. Okay, take a pause. Okay, take a pause in your activity, whatever you will do. Scan your body with your thoughts. Go deep inside and scan your body. You don't have to close your eyes. If you can, you do it. If you're driving, that's not really good to do. So if you're driving, do this later. Okay. Press pause to the world for a few seconds and scan your body. Go inside and scan your body and feel where in the body that thought, that idea of smoking is located. For me, in the past, it was usually here somewhere in the chest, okay? And then ask yourself, where is that thought moving somewhere, that feeling? Does it have certain direction that goes on? In my case, it usually goes from left to right. In any situation, not just smoking. Okay? And follow it. Take notice how is that thought moving, or even if it does moving at all, okay? Is it spinning? It is going left to right, or just standing still? Just locate it. Imagine that it has certain shape. Okay? Now when you did that, if they're moving left to right, imagine that feeling is moving from right to left. So you had the feeling that you want a cigarette and it was moving left to right, but now you consciously are moving it right to left. Or if it's standing still, start moving it clockwise, counterclockwise, up and down. And when you start feeling that thought, that stress is disappearing, losing its strength, continue doing it. Okay? Now if you saw that it has certain shape, like for me it's like an egg, really jelly egg, start mentally start stretching it, shrinking it, putting it, if it's standing here, imagine putting it in front of you or somewhere behind your back, because when you do that, you're not denying how you feel, but you show your brain that you have absolute control over it. Okay, so again, try this, test it, practice it, and after a certain period of time, this will be whenever you face craving or any other stressful situation that causes you to feel uncomfortable way, you will be able to handle it using these techniques, one of these techniques. Okay, so I just want to get back to that table again. This seems hard, okay? It is not easy. That's why you need to practice this at home, and after repeating it for several times, you will be able to memorize most of these questions. It's okay if you don't memorize it all. Me personally, I use like 2 or 3 today, and that's totally fine as long as it's working. The key factor is to move whatever happening in your life on a pain scale from top numbers to the lower numbers. And as I said, the only thing unbearable in life is number 10. Everything others from 0 to indefinite is bearable. Okay, so let's go to the last thing that's gonna help you for eliminating craving. Look, behind each craving for everything, for every narcotic, is a feeling that we are not worth of being free from our addiction. And I'm telling you again, you are worthy of being free from any addiction. Nicotine is not only addictions in your life. The drugs are not the only addictions in life. The worst drug on our planet today is self-pity. oh, I'm not worth of this, I'm not worth of having a good job, I'm not worth of having family, I'm not worth of having friends, I know I'm not worthy of X amount of things, okay? And that's what our modern society somehow implanted in our brain, and big tobacco manufacturers, or any other industry in the world exploiting that feeling from us, you know. If you're not wearing these really expensive sneakers, you're not worthy, you're not gonna be accepted. If you're not smoking Marlboro or any other cigarette, you're not worthy because you will not be accepted. I'm telling you, the ultimate cure for anything in life is self-love, okay? And why would you love yourself? There was a chance for you for being born is 7,000 billion, maybe trillion to 1. Scientists took all the situation where people have made love to make babies, and each sex on the planet, each abortion, each unsuccessful pregnancy, and they took all that number and compared with the chance to being for you and me to be born, and it was a 7,000 billions to 1. That's 7 trillion to 1. There was absolutely no chance for us to be born, but we are here. And that's something, my friend. It is not something that happens every day. There's a bigger chance for us not to be on this planet, but we managed to jump in the train of life. The destination is pretty much uncertain, but the bare fact that we are born makes us a winner. And what makes you a winner is your special character. Your life is special, okay? Everything, your unique character brings, it has special color that makes this painting that we call our world beautiful. And never forget it. This training and every effort you made in your life to change, to make your life better, is worth it. Why? Because you took it, okay? Because you took action, okay? And even if nothing changes in your life, you have to be able to love yourself, okay? And if you don't know how to do it, well, let me tell you something. Love is a skill that can be learned, and self-love is a super skill to learn. Write on a piece of paper and stick it in a mirror, and let it be the first and last thing you will see on the beginning of your day and the end of your day. Write this message, I love myself, and repeat it during the day until your brain accepts it as a truth. Because all this trash, all this head trash that we are bombarded by TV, internet, social networks each day are powerless over love. And let me tell you something, love is something that we really cannot measure. It's unmeasurable. You look, doesn't have material, but we can make that love, manipulate it, and make it grow. I can fill this room with love and send it wherever you are on this planet. And you will feel it, and I will feel it back from you. Okay? Practice self-love, and in even more simple techniques will help you to stop smoking, because you are absolutely worth being on this experience of being human being. And in nothing else, I want you to know that I love you first. I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you did in your life, or what you're planning to do. You are worthy human being, and I love you. And all of the lions that have been through this training love you too, even if they don't know you. Okay. And with these sentences, I would like to finish this DVD. I would like to see your emails about this video, and see you in the next DVD.